The first key to allowing you to shut work off and be more present at home is establishing your non-negotiables. I find that most entrepreneurs don't have a rule that's non-negotiable for when they will work and when they will not work. And not having those boundaries in place, not being clear about those things, and not communicating those boundaries to our spouse allows us, in a way, a freedom of working all the time. See, with smartphones and internet, if we want to, we can be accessible all the time to people, which means we can also be working all the time. So I have found that the clients who have made the most effective shift in their lives in shutting work off have started with a non-negotiable rule of when you will not work, when you will. I will not begin work before this time. I will not continue work after this time. And I will not work on the weekends beyond these times. Now, right now, if you feel like you're working all the time, the best thing to do is to kind of stair-step your way into this. Don't try to go cold turkey with this. If you're working all the time, don't say, okay, no more work in the evenings, no more work at 6 a.m., no more work on the weekends. Start with something small. Say, okay, I'm only going to work 1 night a week or 2 nights a week. Because right now you're working 4 nights a week, 5 nights a week. Or start small by saying, okay, no work on the weekends. Because maybe you're working hours and hours on the weekends and you can still work in the evenings for a while, but stair-step it over the course of the next month or so, where each week you eliminate one part of when you're working in the evenings. Each week you add another rule to your non-negotiables. Now, just saying, having non-negotiables for when you work and don't work and eliminating hours of work from the day probably brings a lot of you a high level of anxiety. I want to just first recognize that and let you know I understand that. But you will never move beyond where you are right now if you don't first set boundaries for what you're willing to accept and what is non-negotiable. So if you want to move toward this, start with non-negotiables. We'll teach you how to deal with the anxiety that comes from shutting work off at 6 p.m. or 5 p.m. each day. I'll teach you how to do that. But start with what the rules will be and share them with your spouse.